Melissa Reynolds and I bonded when she invited me to review her book on pregnancy, fibromyalgia, and chronic fatigue syndrome in 2019. That still makes both of us laugh. A man had written one of the blurbs on the back cover. I thought it was a riot. Melissa thought it made perfect sense because people who most need to understand what a pregnant body is going through are often the ones standing next to it, trying to help, but not quite getting there. Although we follow each other and frequently comment on each other's posts, I'm drawn to Melissa because she accepts what is, including that hard to live with body, and creates and shares tools for those of us with the same or different diagnoses but similar experience, all for best health. Our friendship has grown virtually so we can pick up where we left off. This time I reached out to Melissa after seeing her post about her exploration of AI. Welcome to Health Hats, the podcast. I'm Danny Van Leeuwen. Healthcare is an awesome circus. Let's wear some hats and see if we can find our way to best health. I'm so excited. I've been thinking about you a lot because I follow you regularly, and I always look forward to whatever it is. You're another person that lives your life on your sleeve. Is that an expression you use?
I've not really used it. But
Okay, it means my life is an open book.
Ooh.
You familiar with that? Like you talk about yeah. And I appreciate that, and I've been inspired by for so many years, and I was telling somebody the other day that one of the ways that we bonded was that I reviewed your book on pregnancy. I just thought it was such a riot that you put a clip from or a blurb from the review on the back of your book from a guy. And I just thought that was hysterical.
I think it's important. I think it's almost more important that my work reaches partners or a male because I think it's hard enough to be understood ourselves, but we definitely it's hard to explain to someone else. So
Yeah.
I always thought it made perfect sense.
But what I wanted to talk to you about is the reason I reached out was that you were starting to talk about how you're using new tools to manage your health and your life. And I wanted to hear more about like what lessons you're learning as I want to say you're using AI, but now I feel like that's just too vague of a term.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. So what are you doing and what are you learning? And tell me about it.
Yeah, we can't really. Yeah, it's funny to say you use AI because it's almost very hard not to use AI now. But I have started exploring seeing how AI can support me in my health journey. And so for a while there, I was using it for bits and pieces. But when I had this gut issue come up, I don't know if you've seen too much of the journey, but essentially, I had some severe gut issues come up suddenly, and they sent me for some stool tests, which I'd never done before. And the result came back abnormally astronomically high. So they sent me to the hospital. And then they did all sorts of tests. They rushed me through a colonoscopy. And then I was sitting there on my own in the dark in this hospital room, and it's an ADU unit, so it's for diagnostic purposes, not a ward. So there was no TV, there was like hardly anyone around, and so I was quite alone, and I had no idea what could happen next. So I went in to Claude and I explained what had happened, and I said, I need to know statistically what's likely to be going on. And it talked me through what it could be. And that was enough for me to relax and go, okay, that's cool. And interestingly, until a week ago, it looked very likely that it was going to be one of those irritable bowel diseases. But where we stand at the moment, we're actually just completely unclear. So I've got more specialists to go and see. But I realized the applications. And so then I started researching because, look, I've been sick for 20 years. I have been mistreated more than I have been well treated. And I have lost half my life. And a lot of the doctors I've seen go, meh. Whereas in the last 10 years, I have improved my life dramatically. And the thing that upsets me is that I'm dramatically improved, but I'm still nowhere near normal. So that means I was very sick. And most of the doctors I saw were like, when actually there were concrete things to treat. They were misdiagnosing me, they were not treating me. And so I was like, I'm going to use every tool I have available. And so I just started exploring. And I actually said to Claude, okay, you know my history. We've been chatting for a while. Tell me how I can utilize what you can do better. And I've been doing things through my work as well. I do a lot of data analysis through my part job. I use AI for that. And I was like, okay, then let's get serious about my data analysis. So I moved to tracking my symptoms onto a spreadsheet as opposed to
Right.
a physical book.
Right.
And then I created a prompt where I upload it once a month and I say, here's my data. Tell me things that you're noticing that I'm not. And it notices things I do not. It was
Ah,
picking out post exertion malaise flares that I was not quite understanding. And it was
I'm
picking out
sorry,
things.
post malaise.
Oh, so post exertion malaise
Oh,
is
post
vicarious.
exertion malaise. I missed the
Yeah.
exertion. Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's an important part of ME/CFS, right? And any other energy limiting condition that causes blowback from
Mm,
overdoing it.
yes.
So it was able to really show me, but it also was picking up things like the fact that when I was having my gut flares, my fatigue was actually signaling it a couple of days before.
Okay. Mm,
So every time I went into a gut flare, my fatigue was tweaking beforehand. So it's now pretty clear that whatever's going on with my gut is systemic. It's part of a larger situation going on
mhm.
and not just related to my gut. And so then I just started playing that data analysis, the research. It's been so helpful for, I say, do some deep research and I want you to talk to me about this topic. And it does it.
Wow.
But you have to be very clear what you want it to do. And there's a lot of kind of things to learn around prompting and that kind of things. And it's very nuanced. So I thought, okay, if I am quite technologically savvy and I'm quite aware and up with it, then it's probably a good idea if maybe I develop some resources to share what I'm doing and how I'm doing. So I've started creating a bit of a series of articles to share those key things. But as you saw, the first thing I put out was an honest conversation about whether or not we should be using AI.
Yes.
And I have seen a lot of the arguments, and we obviously know that there are a lot of, it's a big thing, like it's a big deal,
Yeah.
and it's a politically tricky situation to stumble into once you start talking about things. But ultimately, for myself, I've decided if I put the safeguards in place, I want to use any tool available that's going to help me because in my mind, I'm not ignoring it anyway, right? Like I haven't
Yes.
gone out of my way to figure out how to not use it when I'm Googling, or still am on platforms that use an algorithm that AI is behind.
Yes. So
And
you might
I,
as well drive it yourself
yes,
than be a an unknown participant.
yeah.
Yeah.
And use it for what good we can get out of it. Because to be honest, my story is pretty harrowing with my health issues, but people have had it far worse, right?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
what I noticed is that until you're a certain amount better, you can't even advocate for yourself properly because you don't have the energy, you don't have the cognitive capacity. And even now, with all I know, I struggle to advocate for myself. So if we've got any tool that can support us with that, I want to leverage it.
Do you so how do the clinicians that you're partnering with, how do they respond? Are they curious? Are they suspicious? There must be a range because if you're yeah, I know the multiple clinicians that are involved. Some of them are key and some of them are ancillary. but they all approach things differently. So, what are you finding when you're coming? Is it different from your normal assertive self?
Yeah, because I have more knowledge behind me and more self-confidence behind me, which I was growing anyway. The gastroenterologist I was seeing keeps saying, "Oh, I hope you're not using," and they always talk about ChatGPT when they mean AI, but "I hope you're not using that." And I'm like smiling and nodding, but obviously I was. But my GP is fantastic. She loves it when I bring her research and I look up things, and she's engaged.
Yeah,
And I and if you know that, and if you're comfortable with people Googling, then AI is the next step, right? It's just a more efficient
yeah,
Googling, and it's not because I never go to her and I'm like, okay, so I've self-diagnosed myself with this. It's more like, okay, I've done some research. I've got a very practical example, actually. I'm going to see my GP next week. And I was doing some research because the gastroenterologist suggested a medicine, and I don't feel comfortable taking that medicine because, as much as they downplayed the potential interaction with another one I'm on, I don't feel comfortable with the overall risk.
yes,
Especially when you're playing with heart rate and blood pressure, because I have
yeah,
low blood pressure and heart rate
yeah,
issues. I've done my research and I've compared, and the wonderful thing about AI, what it can do compared to what I can do in terms of cognitive strands, is it's able to pull things together. So when we were talking about this medicine, and it's actually, here's an alternative. It's a lower risk medicine and it doubles as support for this other thing. So it was talk because the one thing I don't want is to end up on loads of medicines and not sure what is working.
yes,
And I don't want to be playing with my blood pressure. So I've done that research so I can at least go to her and look, she might say, I can't prescribe that or I'm not comfortable or whatever, but I, surely a doctor is happy for me to be an informed participant in my care, especially when chronic conditions require the patient buy-in, and a lot of the treatments require the patient to be doing the work.
right.
And if they understand, then they're more likely to be able to be compliant.
Of it. So, if you're like, so what are your words of wisdom to people who are playing with these tools? Are you feeling like you really want to encourage them to play? Do you want to caution them? What's your, because you're really connected to a lot of people personally and virtually. People follow you. So, anyway, so yeah, what's your words of wisdom?
First, you have to think, what state are you in? So if you are a bit vulnerable or if you don't feel confident with technology, and if you don't feel like you can prompt it well, and you're unsure about any of it, then it's good to seek guidance.
So, have a
I
buddy
know
when
that,
you're doing it
yeah.
or a
Yep.
mentor or somebody. Yeah.
Yeah. And if
Okay.
you are like me and you're data oriented and you're logical, and that knowing the data and the percentages and whatever makes you comfortable, then going and doing some deep research is great. But if you are someone who really needs the bare minimum information and you don't need more than that and it's going to fry your nervous system, then either don't do it or ask someone to do it for you, or even just tell the AI, you can say, look, I don't need lots of detail. I would like the three key points here that I can take away and use. So you can always guide it. And I think that if you are going to play, it is worth spending time looking at how to use it well and to prompt it. Because a lot of people use it just like they're talking to someone. And so they just start chatting and having a conversation, which can be useful if you're trying to work through some things. Quite often, I'm working through some things and I literally just need to bounce back to myself. But if you can prompt it well, and then you're going to get what you need out of it. So, for example, if you're going in and you just need a deep research and you want data, then that's clarified from the beginning. Or if you're saying you are a specialist talking about this condition and this symptom, tell me this thing, right? Just be very concise with it. because that's going to give you different results. And there's a lot of information out there about how to do it. I'm making a series of articles because I want to be able to guide people so they can say, okay, I'm going to talk about this thing, how to use my data to get some good analysis. And they can focus on that because it's obviously a lot of us are going to be, it's too cognitively demanding, right? First, you've got to learn how to prompt, then you've got to learn what to put in, then you've got to figure out how it works. It's a lot. And so my articles are trying to make it more accessible
Yeah.
because it's always us, right? It's always the people who are chronically ill who are the least able to jump onto opportunities
Yeah.
and make the most of them. And we're the ones who need it most.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would say. But look,
That's
if you're
really
morally
good.
opposed to it, then leave it.
Yeah. It's funny because I talk to people who are make it seems like people in general to make really broad statements about either AI or some part of AI. And I'm not really a black and white kind of person. I'm more nuanced. Yeah, it helps with this, but it doesn't help with that. But I find one of the things that is I'm challenged with now is that I think it gives me too much, and then I want to share all this depth, everything that's behind it, and maybe all that is useful for me, but not for other people. And so
Yeah.
I'm learning to set limits. My audience is going to have 3 minutes
Mhm.
or in 500 words or less.
Yeah.
And then I can ask more questions. Or it gives me a whole bunch, and then I can say, okay, of all, thank you, or I don't say thank you. I used to say thank you, and then I realize, what am I saying thank you to? Is so what's the nut? I don't say what's the nut, but and I think it's fun. I mean, it's amazing. It's a toy, in a way, a very powerful toy. Thank you so much. Neither of us is going to be cured, whatever that word means. But I am living a good life, and I'm playing music, traveling, and in love. My grandson just turned 18 and is graduating from high school. Life is good. That's the whole point, really. The point was never the technology. I know my enthusiasm for using Claude turns some people off. A number of you seriously distrust anything with AI in it, and I don't dismiss that. I'm uneasy too. Less about the tool in my hands than about the AI industrial complex behind it, the money, power, and momentum. Something like splitting the atom. Enormous force, no guarantee of where it gets pointed, and yet here I am using Claude and Claude co-work to cut the 40 to 60 hours I spend on each episode down to about 20. I'll share how in future episodes. I hold the worry and use the tools anyway. The point is deciding to drive our own train and being glad to have one more tool in the cab. A tool, a toy, used best by someone who knows their own mind and keeps both hands on the wheel. Health Hats is produced by me, with Kayla Nelson and Team Van Leeuwen, Leon, Oscar, and Joey. AI tools assist production. I make all creative decisions. If you like it, share it. See you around the block.